Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I got you guys a 14-team PPR mock draft as requested from Aiden from the comment section. If you guys would like to request a mock draft, I will definitely try to do it next week. You just request the number of teams, the scoring settings, and the draft position if you would like me to do that. So this is a 14-team PPR draft. We are going to be doing the 14th pick here because I think it is important to try to figure out what to do if you are picking later in these type of drafts, because when it is a 14-team league, it becomes much harder the decisions you're going to make due to the fact that you're going to be waiting so long before your next pick. Now, in this draft we are having here, this is on fantasypros.com. The roster positions for this draft is 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, 1 tight end, 1 flex, 1 kicker, 1 defense, and 6 bench spots. So let's get right in the video. 14-team PPR mock draft from the 14 slot. I'm going to be doing mock drafts all off season long, so if you guys want to check out more mock drafts, make sure to click that subscribe button. And I've already posted 2 already to the channel that are 12-team mock drafts. So let's get right into it. So the first pick of the draft was run CMC as per typical, as per the usual, because Christian McCaffrey is just clearly the best player in fantasy football at the running back position, or the number 1 guy you'd want to draft in your fantasy football draft. So CMC went followed by Saquon Barkley, Michael Thomas, Ezekiel Elliott, Devontae Adams, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Ron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, and Julio Jones. So nothing really out of the ordinary there for me. None of those picks that are going to really call out to me and make me wonder why the fuck someone is so dense that they would make those picks. So first here, this is a very easy decision for me. We're going to go with Nick Chubb here. Now, Nick Chubb last year was running like a goddamn god. He pretty much would have had that rushing title. It would have beaten out Derrick Henry if the team decided to just give him the ball a bit more week 17. They decided against doing that. They put him down, and then Derrick Henry really put him down and fucking murdered his rushing title right there. But Nick Chubb put up a great season, even with Kareem Hunt being there. I am not worried at all about Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is going to be a beast this season, just like last year. The offense is going to look better than last year. They may actually be worried about the passing game, because last year Baker Mayfield was playing like a bag of dicks. He was playing terrible. This season, I think he plays much better, so I'm going to go with Nicholas Chubb here for my first selection. Obviously, this is a 14-team league, and we are at the 1-2 turn. So this is where you got to make the biggest decision of your draft right here. We're only fucking 2 picks in, and this is where you're going to have to make your hardest decision in a 14-team league. Do you stack 2 running backs right here, or do you get a stud running back and a stud wide receiver? Do I believe that the running backs will be there after I select a wide receiver, or will I feel fucked and should I just draft another running back here? And that is what I'm really debating here. Now, for the wide receivers, I'd be looking at here Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Kenny Golladay, DJ Moore. Now, I posted my rankings. I think in my rankings, I have Mike Evans ranked slightly ahead of Chris Godwin. I'm pretty sure. I'm not too sure, because every day I flip-flop on these two. One day I like Godwin. The other day I like fucking Evans. So, to me, those are very clear, the picks you would make here if you wanted one of those guys. I think I'd probably go with Evans. Now, if you're looking for a running back, Leonard Fournette, Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler, all 3 great choices there. Eckler could be a guy that is commanding a lot of pass-catching opportunity in LAC for the Chargers. Now, obviously, the problem could be that they're letting go of Phillip Rivers. So what is going to happen there? Who will be throwing them the ball? That is definitely a concern for me. So I am going to go ahead and make the executive decision that I want to go running back here. Wide receivers will be available all draft long. Even if I have to draft 2 in a row, round 3 and round 4, we're certainly not going to be touching a quarterback here, guys. In a 14-team league, you have to understand that if you draft a quarterback here, your running backs and wide receiver core is going to be absolutely fucking terrible. Same thing if you draft a tight end. I saw last year, I'm in a league with me and my dad, and I advised my dad to maybe pick Travis Kelce on the swing at the back of the draft last year, and it did not pay off. Picking a tight end or a quarterback early here is not going to be very advantageous in a 14-team league. Sure, for the tight end position, you will not have to go ahead and pick someone up every single week, which may be a bit harder in a 14-team league, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to stick with my guns and go running back heavy, because I believe I can find a wide receiver that I like in the 3rd and 4th round. So I'm going to be deciding here between Eckler, Jacobs, and Fournette. Now, to me, the best running back available right now is Josh Jacobs. He has the best talent, but he does deal with a bit of injury problems. He carries the ball so much that he just ends up getting hurt. So I think I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette here now. I don't love Leonard Fournette. Last year we saw him get a shit load of targets. I don't believe that he's going to be hitting a shit load of targets this year as well, but I do think that his touchdowns will go up. Last season, I believe he only scored 3 fucking touchdowns. This year, it's going to be on the goddamn rise, and the Jacksonville Jaguars can't be much worse than they were last year, so I like Leonard Fournette here, and that is who I'm going to select. So after we went with I did not mean to click on that. So after we went with Leonard Fournette, Chris Godwin came off the board, followed by Mike Evans, Austin Eckler, George Kittle, Josh Jacobs, Todd Gurley, Travis Kelce. First tight end off the board was Kittle, followed by Kelce, and then Lamar Jackson, the first quarterback off the board, followed by A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, Kenny Golladay, DJ Moore, Pat Mahomes, Miles Sanders, Devontae Parker, Zach Ertz, Mark Andrews, Cortland Sutton, Odell Beckham Jr., Kenyon Drake, Keenan Allen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Allen Robinson, Julian Edelman, Evan Ingram, Mark Ingram, 2 Ingrams in a row. So the first thing to talk about here, obviously, was Lamar Jackson in the second round. Now, in a 14-team league, I do not advise that at all. Same with Pat Mahomes at the end of the second round. Sure, these guys are going to put up some big fucking points, but you could draft the quarterback still in a 14-team league in like the 8th round and be very happy with that guy. But now this guy has one running back. Well, he might not be as disappointed with his running back core, but his wide receiver core is going to be demolished. Christian McCaffrey, Miles Sanders, and Pat Mahomes is not the way I would personally like to start a draft. Another guy I want to talk about here is Evan Ingram. Far too early for Evan Ingram. In my opinion, Evan Ingram is a great tight end. I see he passes all the eye tests. He passes the looks test. He looks like a tight end that would eviscerate the NFL, but he has those injury problems. And we are going to stay away from injuries early in these drafts. If you guys want to draft a guy that is injury prone, don't do it in the first 3 rounds, especially on a tight end that you don't even necessarily need. Now, going back, obviously we have picked Nick Chubb and Leonard Fournette. So right now, we could have realistically had Nick Chubb, Chris Godwin, and Chris Carson or Le'Veon Bell, which personally I would actually have liked more than what I'm going to end up doing here. But that's just the price you pay, because at the end of the day, some people could have taken more running backs, and I'd be sitting here looking at Devin Singletary as my RB2, and that does not tickle my fancy. I'd rather just take a bit of a guess on some of these wide receivers here over the fact of guessing on some running backs later in the draft. So Stephon Diggs is still available here, but Stephon Diggs is a guy that is very streaky. I wish maybe I can see his stats from this season. His season stats are probably very good, but his game-by-game stats are not that hot. He played 15 games in 2019, 63 receptions on 94 targets for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. But he had a very streaky season. I don't love having guys like that. I prefer to go with a guy that I feel is going to be very safe this season, and that is Robert Woods. I loved Robert Woods that last year, and I love him this year. Jared Goff is going to get better. That Rams team was terrible last year, and they are going to get better. 90 receptions for 139 targets, or 90 receptions on 139 targets, and only 3 touchdowns in 2019. His touchdown total is typically a lot higher than that. I think that at the end of the day, this season, Robert Woods is going to ball out. I used to believe that he may get traded, he may get shipped off, but I think he's going to stay there, and he's going to be a baller for the LA Rams. And I'm going to select Robert Woods. So after we went with Robert Woods, it is now our selection yet again. So if we were to pick a quarterback right now, Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback available on the board, at least according to my rankings. And that's not where I would go. I personally think I would go ahead and hitch my wagon to another wide receiver and another guy I really like in these drafts, and that is Calvin Ridley. Now, I know a lot of people might call you crazy. Oh, Nick, Calvin Ridley didn't really do shit last year. He only played 13 games, 63 receptions, 93 targets, didn't even get 1,000 yards, you fucking idiot. He had 7 touchdowns, but he had 10 touchdowns the year before. He sucks. All right, when you think about Calvin Ridley, guys, you have to take account a lot of things that happened. Matt Ryan was banged up for a bunch of games. They had a backup quarterback in a bunch of games. Calvin Ridley ended up getting hurt. If Calvin Ridley was healthy, I think Calvin Ridley would have put up a momentous season. And with Julio Jones getting up there in age, I think that Calvin Ridley might start taking off, where you see like how Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen are, how they're the 1A and 1B type on the team, and I like Calvin Ridley a lot for that reason, and that is who I'm going to select right here. If you guys have a problem with me selecting Calvin Ridley, go ahead and leave it down below in the comments. I love reading the comments, and I love responding to anything. So if you have a problem with any of my picks, leave it down below. Tell me what you would have done, and I'll talk to you about it. So after we selected Calvin Ridley, the next pick in the draft was DJ Chark, baby Chark, followed by Chris Carson, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Devin Singletary, AJ Green, Tyler Lockett, Melvin Gordon, Damian Williams, Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, Kerryon Johnson, Austin Hoop God, Debo Samuel, Adam Thielen, Marlon Mack, T.Y. Hilton, Deshaun Watson, John Brown, DK Metcalf, AB, Darren Waller, Raheem Mostert, Russell Wilson, J.K. Dobbins, and David Montgomery. So, just so you know, guys, I didn't even know this at the beginning of they added the rookies. They added the rookies into Fantasy Pros. They selected J.K. Dobbins. Now, without knowing where J.K. Dobbins goes, that dude is going to be a fucking beast if he lands into a spot where he can run the ball. J.K. Dobbins is one of the best running backs coming out this year Now, the one thing I will talk about a couple of these picks before we get into mine. So, A.J. Green, really early, round 4. Do not do that. And the biggest just confusing thing here is there's actually a couple of confusing things. Raheem Mostert in the 5th round is pants on the head. Fucking dumb. As this guy's number 1 running back, I would rather fucking take a dick in the ass multiple times than try to draft Raheem Mostert. That makes 0 sense. I don't like Raheem Mostert at all. That is just a 0. To me, I would not trust that at all. Damian Williams, another guy I don't trust at all. James Conner, Kerryon Johnson, a bit too early in the 4th round for me. What you have to understand, though, guys, the 4th round in these 14-team leagues are a lot more like the 5th or 6th round in other leagues, just so you know that. So I guess it ain't that crazy for James Conner and Kerryon Johnson, but Raheem Mostert, that is very crazy to me, and David Montgomery comes off the board as well. Like I said, guys, in all of these videos, Antonio Brown should not be drafted in the 5th round. Antonio Brown will likely not touch the NFL field in 2020, and I wish that Fantasy Pros could patch that out of the system so we don't have to deal with that. Now, where are all these other rookie running backs? Because someone pulled up and drafted Mr. Dobbins. So how do I get Swift? How do I get my boy Swift? He's all the way down here. All these guys are all the way down here. Now, I don't think we're going to go ahead and select one of these guys because I don't know what their ADP is going to be in a draft. I might just be robbing the complete draft and fuck it completely over by selecting one of those guys. So I'm going to go ahead and actually not do that. But Swift, to me, is the best running back in that class, if you're wondering. So now we're going to be getting another running back and likely pick some guys that I feel are very safe. And the first guy I want to pick here is James White. Now, to me, James White is about as safe as it gets at the running back position, and he's a perfect flex for your fantasy team. Last season, 15 games, he only missed 1 game, 67 attempts, 263 run yards. I know that sounds like it sucks, but he had 72 receptions, 645 receiving yards, and 6 total touchdowns. So, pretty solid year to James White, and I could see him doing the same thing for the next 3,000 years. So I'm just like James White here, a very safe pick. So now we can continue to either build our running back depth or go and attack one of these wide receivers. Now, right now at the running back, we're not going to draft a quarterback or a tight end yet, guys. The tight end's still available, as we can see down here. Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, Tyler Higbee. I'd rather just wait, if I'm being honest with you guys. So we're going to go ahead here and select probably a wide receiver here because I don't love any of these running backs here at all. So we're going to go and select the best wide receiver that's available at the current time. And to me, it's between Jarvis. I don't love Jarvis, guys. The thing I don't love about Jarvis is the fact that Baker Mayfield just seems to throw the ball to anyone on the team. It doesn't seem like he really has that, like, Odell isn't even his number 1 target. He airs the ball out to a bunch of people. There's a bunch of guys that command the ball on the Cleveland Browns. And if I'm being honest with you guys, I do think the Cleveland Browns are going to be much, much, much better this season. But at the end of the day, do you really want to have 2 Cleveland Browns on your fucking fantasy team? A team that could potentially just win 4 games, 5 games, which is not very good. I would rather go with scary Terry McLaurin. Now, I know that argument may be a bit counterintuitive when you're talking about Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is on a shit tier team, but at the end of the day, guys, Terry McLaurin is a fucking beast. He is a guy that is going to be going in around the 6th round probably in every single draft, and he's a guy that I'm really targeting. Now, if you look at his stats from last year, he played 14 games, 58 receptions on 93 targets for 919 yards and 7 touchdowns. Only 58 receptions and 919 yards. That is fucking amazing. This offense can't be much worse than last year. Riverboat fucking Ron is the coach now for the Washington Redskins. I believe that Riverboat Ron is a much better coach than that sorry-ass motherfucker they had in there last year. I think that Terry McLaurin plays amazing this year. Obviously, when you draft the quarterback, the rookie year could be so-so. Peyton Manning's rookie year wasn't that good, and then obviously he became the fucking one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That's not the greatest comp for Hashkins, but I think Hashkins is going to be much better this season. I think that Terry McLaurin is a steal here in the 6th round. So now we have been through 6 rounds. Our current roster right now, we got Nicholas Chubb, Leonard Fournette, Robert Woods, Calvin Ridley, James White, and scary Terry McLaurin. So we have a very balanced roster, 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers. And like I always say, guys, you want to exit your draft having more running backs than wide receivers. So after we selected scary Terry McLaurin, famous Jameis Winston, Mr. LASIK with the selection, followed by Michael Gallup, Philip Lindsay. Nope. I lied. Jameis Winston, Michael Gallup, Jarvis Landry, Phillip Lindsay, Dickie Dak Prescott, O.J. Howard, Kyler Murray, Christian Kirk, Ronald Jones, Tyler Boyd, Kareem Hunt, Hunter Henry, Marquise Brown, Sterling Shepard, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, Darius Slayton, Robbie Anderson, Mike Will made it, Drew Brees, Alshon Jeffrey, Matt Ryan, Darius Geis, and Aaron Rodgers, and then Anthony Miller. So we may have made a fatal mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 quarterbacks have been selected on the board. I'm the only team without a quarterback. And yeah, I'm the only team without a quarterback. So this could have been a fatal flaw that we have made here. But I think at this point, you just wait it out. You just keep building that depth, and then later you go in and get that quarterback that you want, because all the guys that I really like are off the board. Guys that I'm targeting later in the draft. Guys like Jameis, Dak, Kyler, Josh Allen, all off the fucking board. Even Drew Brees is going way too late. So that's 5 guys that I really like, and they're all gone. So it's okay with me. We're just going to start building that depth on the roster before we go ahead and select a running back. Or before we go ahead and select a quarterback. Now, Jared Goff's still available. Tyler Higbee, like I said, I'm still going to continue to wait. So right here, likely in the 8th round, there's going to be none of those top tier running backs available that are coming in the 2020 NFL draft, likely, unless they end up in a shit tier situation. Then in the 8th round, they may go off. But if you guys seem to remember, guys last year, guys like Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, the highly touted running backs were going highly in the draft around the 4th, 5th round. Josh Jacobs was a guy that was going very, very early, and he paid off. But at the end of the day, I would not go ahead and fuck this draft over for you guys by selecting a guy like Swift, who I don't believe would be here at this current position. Now, there's biggest guy to talk about here is Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman is likely going to be cut according to some officials in the NFL. So what do you do with Devontae Freeman? Do you pick him and hope he goes to a good team? Well, obviously, you're going to be drafting in fucking August, so you're going to know what the deal is with Devontae Freeman. So Devontae Freeman is one of those guys who's a very good running back, but has been derailed by injuries. This motherfucker gets hurt lacing his cleats up on Sunday morning. So what do you do with Devontae Freeman? That is a big question. Now, right now, I am not sure I would pick him. But the problem is the guys below him are fucking scrubs that also have problems. Tariq Cohen, I do not like. David Johnson. Where's David Johnson going to end up? That is a similar type of thing. David Johnson may end up in a GOAT situation. He could go to Tampa Bay with his boy Bruce Arians, and they could be very good. Or he could just be stuck there, and then he fucks Kenyon Drake in the ass without the use of any lubricant. Now, at this pick, I would honestly just go ahead and select the guy I want the most here, and that is honestly going to be Mr. David Johnson. Now, I know right now this pick may be the dumbest thing you've ever read in your life if David Johnson does not go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But right now, in my head, he's going somewhere where he is going to start, so I'm going to select David Johnson. We remember from years past, David Johnson was one of those guys that would come off the board in the 1st round or the 2nd round for the last, I don't even know. His rookie year, he was amazing, and he was not even drafted. And then 2016, 17, 18, and 19, he was pretty much a number 1 or 2nd round pick. So I'm going to go ahead and get him in the 8th round or the 7th round. Now, I know a lot of people are going to hate this pick. I know people in the comments are going to say, Nick, you fucking idiot. David Johnson is not going to go to a good team. I'm just guessing here, and that's what you're going to have to be doing if you're drafting a team in February. You're going to try to hope to the fantasy lords that David Johnson ends up in a good place, and that is who I'm going to select here. So now we have another pick, and this is where shit gets a bit funky. Now, do we want to draft another running back and take another guess? Do we want to go quarterback? Do we want to go tight end? How are we feeling? Now, what I noticed is these computers, just as well as your real life friends that you're probably drafting with, they're not going to draft 2 quarterbacks like instantly. Like, they're not going to draft in the 7th round, they're going to draft Matt Stafford. In the 8th round, they're going to go draft someone else. That's not going to happen. But I do think that what I would personally do here is just say, fuck it, and pick another running back. I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know if I could do it because I don't like the wide receivers later. So I'm gonna get my wide receiver that I like, and that's Marvin Jones. Now, Marvin Jones has been a beast pretty much every single year he's been in the league. He's a guy that's going to see a lot of receptions as long as he does not get hurt. Last 2 years he's been hurt. As long as Matt Stafford can stay healthy, Marvin Jones is a fucking beast. Him and Kenny Golladay are beasts. I love Marvin Jones. Kenny Golladay is getting drafted in like the 2nd or 3rd round, and Mr. Marvin Jones is pretty much just as good as him, and he goes much later, so I'm just going to go ahead and select Marvin Jones there. So now if we look, I did not mean to fucking click on that. I'm not paying for your website, Fantasy Pros. If you want to pay me to use it, go ahead. No free ads. So after we selected Mr. Marvin Jones, Curtis Samuel came off the board, followed by Jonathan Taylor. Going to go much higher if he goes to a good team. Emmanuel Sanders, Devontae Freeman, Will Fuller, Sony Michel, Tariq Cohen, Preston Williams, Deontay Johnson, Carlos Hyde, Jordan Howard, Duke Johnson, Jamal Williams, Brandon Cooks, Latavius Murray, Golden Tate, Rolls-Royce Freeman, Tyrell Williams, Jameson Crowder, Deshaun Jackson, N'Keal Harry, Kenny Galladay, or not Kenny Galladay, Kenny Stills, Tony Pollard, Jared Cook, DeAndre Swift, John Ross. So I am actually going to select a rookie because I believe this is where he'll go in the draft. He is an unknown player, or he is unknowns for the NFL. We're gonna go ahead and fuck around and select. Where's my boy? Where is he at? We're gonna type it in. We're gonna select my boy, Money Man Joe fucking Burrow. Now this may seem crazy. This may seem whack. You might think, Nick, how are you gonna draft Joe Burrow? How is Joe Burrow going to be your starting quarterback in fantasy football? Well, he's not going to be. This is where I'm going to pick him, and I'm going to pick another one later after this to be the starter until we see what Joe Burrow does. But to me, guys, Joe Burrow is a fucking beast, if I'm being honest with you guys. Joe Burrow literally lights up defense like it is a goddamn cigar, just like the one he smoked after he beat the shit out of the Clemson Tigers in the college football championship game. Joe Burrow is an elite talent. Joe Burrow is going to go number 1 to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I know you're going to be thinking in your head, Nick, the Cincinnati Bengals are fucking garbage, Nick. The Cincinnati Bengals suck a fat one. The Cincinnati Bengals are cursed. All right, that may be true, but Joe Burrow is going to be good. We've seen Andy Dalton have good seasons on the Cincinnati Bengals, and Joe Burrow is way better than Andy Dalton. So we're going to go ahead and select Joe Burrow here with our 9th round selection. So now we go again. Now the question here is, do we just go 2 quarterbacks back-to-back, Michael Jordan, 96-97? That is something I'm thinking about doing here because in a 14-team league, I always advise. This is like a lock. In a 14-team league, you need to draft 2 quarterbacks. You just have to because everyone is likely going to draft 2 quarterbacks. That's 28 quarterbacks off the board. That means that there's only a couple of quarterbacks left. There's only 32 fucking teams in the league. So you need to go ahead and get a second quarterback because if you don't draft 2, you're going to be sitting there with your thumb up your ass looking through the waiver wire and not being able to find shit. So I'm going to draft a second quarterback later. I think right now I'm just going to go ahead and continue on my draft normally. I think I'm going to go ahead and get a tight end, a guy that I actually really much enjoy for fantasy football. And I think that is going to be Dallas Goedert. Now, I know a lot of people are going to throw shit in the comments. They're going to be throwing the tomato at me. They're going to be booing me. Boo, Nick, you fucking idiot. Dallas Goedert is not the starter on the fucking Philadelphia Eagles. You know, Zach Ertz is. Well, last year, Goedert, 58 receptions, 87 targets, 670 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Goedert is slowly improving his worth on this team. I think in a couple, if Zach Ertz goes down, he's a beast. Zach Ertz is getting older in age. I love Dallas Goedert here. I would consider Higbee and Fant as well. They are very close to me. And if I'm being honest with you, if you want to be safe, I would just go Fant. Fant is the number 1 guy on the fucking Denver Broncos. He's the number 1 tight end on the team. There's no one really behind him. Goedert obviously has Zach Ertz in front of him, and that is a bit of a worry. But in this type of a league, I would just draft Goedert, play him week 1. If he does shit, you cut him. You just keep cycling through the tight end carousel until you find a good one. That is typically my strategy. Anyways, when it comes to tight ends, unless you draft one early. Now, if we continue to look at the draft, after we selected Dallas Goedert, D.D. Westbrook at the board, followed by Tevin Coleman, Tyler Higbee, Rashad Penny, Justice Hill, A.P. Going Psycho, Alexander Madison, Noah Fant, Hunter Renfrow, Sammy Watkins, Chase Edmonds, Mecole Hardman, Benny Snell, San Francisco defense. Look at that, guys. First fucking idiot of the draft. I know we're drafting against the computer, but what an idiot. Do not draft do not draft the defense before the last 2 rounds. Or if you want to be a bit early, go 3 rounds before the thing ends, okay? But don't go in the 11th round. That's fucking stupid. The defense that is projected to be the number 1 defense is never the number 1 defense, guys. It's pretty much the same shit with every position, but the defenses especially. You can just pick up a defense every single week, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that later on in the draft when we go ahead and select our defense. So now I'm going to go ahead and select my boy Darrell Henderson here. This is just a mortal lock of the century. This is what I would bet the mortgage on. All right, Todd Gurley. Last year, Darrell Henderson did not get any opportunity at all. If we click on his stats, he barely got the ball. He got the ball 39 times for 147 yards, no touchdowns. All right, there seems like they may ship Todd Gurley the fuck out of there. If Todd Gurley is gone, they drafted Darrell Henderson last year to be his replacement if he went down. Todd Gurley just somehow did not go down. He has that fucked up knee. He was on a snap count, so they did not end up running out of him. But if they go ahead and give away Todd Gurley, Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, these are guys you're going to find late in the draft. You just throw the dice, you roll the dice, pick one of them, hope they end up being the starting running back for the LA Rams. And that's why I'm going to select Darrell Henderson here. So after we went, Darrell Henderson is our pick yet again, and I'm kind of unsure of what to do here. So, like I said, you want to finish the draft with more running backs than wide receivers. So right now we got Chubb, Fournette, White, David Johnson, and Darrell Henderson. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. So we need a 6th running back here. So that's what we're going to go ahead and go get, unless I like a wide receiver here, and then I'll just dabble in the running backs later. And that's probably what I'm going to do, because I'm a bit indifferent on this guy, and that's Corey Davis now. I personally believe Corey Davis is a shit tier player. But the problem here is actually, what do I want to do? Because I have 1, 2, I got 4. I need to go running back, because in the next round I'm going to have to select a backup quarterback. So we're going to actually go running back here. If I did not want to select a second quarterback, like I would not do if this was a 12 or 10 team league, but a 14 team league, I'd probably go Corey Davis. My thought process behind that is that I don't like Corey Davis. I really don't think he's that good of a talent, but maybe he's going to be like Devontae Parker and be a 5th-year breakout. He's shown spots where he was talented. It's just the consistency is not there for Corey Davis, and maybe it will be there next year with Ryan Tannehill. Now, obviously, Ryan Tannehill was the backup for the beginning of the season, so he wasn't getting very many reps with Corey Davis in practice. You want to know who he was getting reps with? A.J. fucking Brown. So that's why him and A.J. Brown were balling out of control and fucking all of them hoes. So I think that at the end of the day, Corey Davis may be a bit better this year, and for the 59th ranked tight or wide receiver, I would just go ahead and roll the dice for him. He's much better to me than a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, Randall Cobb, Mohamed Sanu, any of these guys down here. So we got to go running back. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a guy here that I think may end up getting an opportunity. And that is just handcuffing my guy. I have Leonard Fournette. I'm going to handcuff him with Rock Armstead. Now, Rock Armstead in college was a very, very, very good running back. Now, he got 35 attempts last year for 108 yards. He played in all 16 games. He never really was the starting guy, because I believe Leonard Fournette played in every single game, I think. So I would just go ahead and draft Rock Armstead as the handcuff here. I think that's the right move. So after we went with my boy, Rocky Rock Armstead, Will Dissly came off the board, followed by Baker the Faker Mayfield, Baltimore Ravens defense, Ryan Tannehill, Andy Isabella, Cam Newton, Corey Davis, Justin Jackson, TJ Hawkingod, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Fitzmagic, Los Angeles Rams, Larry Fitz, Peyton Barber, Jalen Samuels, Jacob Hollister, Buffalo Bills, Malcolm Brown, Gus Edwards, Giovanni Bernard, Kalen Balazs, Travis Homer, Lamar Miller, Boston Scott, Chicago defense, and Dion Lewis. So now we got to select our backup quarterback, and I'm just going to go with a guy here who I personally believe will have a bounce back year as long as he gets healthy, and that's Big Ben. I think Big Ben could be great. I think Big Ben is great when he's healthy, so I like him a lot. My other option here, the guy that I was also looking at, is Daniel Jones. Now, I understand Daniel Jones he's really not the best quarterback. He has fumbling problems, but in fantasy, he was putting together games last season that were unreal, way better than anyone would expect for Daniel Jones. So I think Daniel Jones would have been a solid pick here, but I'm going to go with Big Ben Roethlisberger here. And then we got to select our kicker and our defense. But I want to bring something up here real quick before I pick my kicker and defense. This guy picked the Chicago Bears defense in the 13th round. The Chicago Bears defense were the first defense off the board in pretty much every single league in 2019. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th defense off the board, guys. How did they go from number 1 to number 7? That's because that shit happens every fucking year, guys. You have to understand that. Every year, it's a new defense that's number 1. 2 years ago, everyone thought, oh, the Jacksonville Jaguars played amazing a few years ago. I'm Mickey Mouse. I remember the Jacksonville Jaguars defense was so good. And then everyone drafted them in the first round, or not the first round, the first defense off the board. You know what they did? They got fucked in the ass. They were terrible. And just the same thing happened with the Chicago Bears defense. So don't make that mistake again. I'm Mickey Mouse, and thank you for watching. Oh, all right, that was my Mickey Mouse voice. So pretty much what I said there, if you couldn't understand me because I went full Mickey Mouse. Don't draft a defense early. The defense that you think is going to be amazing ends up being shit typically, or ends up not being the number one defense, and ends up not being worth the pick. People were going all up the draft board to select the Bears defense. Oh, I got the best defense. No, you don't. You dumb motherfucker. We got Harrison Bucker God here selected, and then after we selected Harrison Bucker, so for the kickers, you're just going to go look. I'm going to post some rankings probably on kickers. You just go ahead, watch that video. Draft a kicker that way. And then a bunch of kickers the defense went, so I'm not going to name them off. So the way you're going to draft the defense, guys, before I end the video, very simple. The schedules are not out yet. The schedules are out next month, I believe, or the month after. Either March or April schedule comes out. All you got to do is go on Google, type in NFL schedule week 1, and then right before you draft, you figure out which team offense you think is bad, and you just find a defense playing against that shit offense, a guy that's playing against Jameis Winston, a guy who might throw five picks in that game. You fucking pick that guy up, that defense up, and you roll them out there. You know what you do week 2? If they don't have a good matchup, you cut them. It's that fucking simple. This is like the easiest thing ever to figure out, and no one fucking does it. In my leagues, people do it, but like in other leagues, I'm seeing people are just going heavy and early on defense, and it makes no fucking sense. I'm gonna go ahead and select the New Orleans Saints because they're the best ranked overall, but obviously that has nothing to do with why I would just select the best defense that I was talking about based on the week 1 matchup. So our team, we got a B. Who gives a fuck about the grade, guys? The draft grade does not matter. On Yahoo, you might get an A and you'll finish in last place. I've noticed on NFL they give me like 2 and 13. Or whatever the record is. I think we played 13 regular season games. Go 3 and 10, and then you end up going 10 and 3, and you end up winning the fucking league. That's just how the predictions make no sense. On these websites, the grades. So our quarterback is Money Man Joe Burrow. Our 2 running backs are Nick Chubb and Leonard Fournette. Our 2 starting wideouts are Robert Woods and Calvin Ridley. Our starting tight end is Mr. Dallas Goedert. Our flex is James White. Our defense and kicker do not matter. So our bench is Scary Terry McLaurin, David Johnson, Marvin Jones, Darrell Henderson, Rock Armstead. And our last spot is Big Ben Roethlisberger. Thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying, please, please, please make sure to click that subscribe button. I know this was a longer video, so if you made it all the way to the end, comment David Johnson to the Bucks. Comment that down in the comments. I love each and every single one of you guys. Make sure to tell your loved ones you love them. Make sure to click on one of these videos. It's like on the screen. It might be above you. It might be over here. I'm not sure where the fuck it is, wherever future Nick puts it. I love you all. Have a blessed rest of your Friday. Have a great fucking weekend. President's Day on Monday, but we don't rest for the presidents. We post a video regardless. I love you all. You're off of school Monday, probably. Have a great day. I love you all. Goodbye, my friends.